You know what that sound means? It's another episode of Game for a Movie where we ask, are you game for a movie? My name is Mike. I will be your host this evening. We've got a interesting one. That is what I will say for this one. This was supposed to be either the Karate Kid 3 or the next Karate Kid because of the Karate Kid Legends that just came out. However, when a new movie comes out and it is a bad movie, that takes precedence. So I could have watched Karate Kid 3. I could have watched the next Karate Kid. Both terrible. But this is a brand new movie. Just recently came out. And it is terrible by the Rotten Tomatoes numbers. But first, we've got to talk about what we are drinking. Today, I've got from Burial Brewing Company in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is Surf Wax. Surf Wax is an IPA. It is a delicious IPA. It's fantastic at the brewery, and they just started really branching out to stores. So, they've been distributing, but it's been a little harder to get. Now you can get it at most stores, which is fantastic. Burial is a little more on the fruity side, is what I will say, but it is very good. So, a perfect one for this movie, Fear Street Prom Queen. So Fear Street Prom Queen, this is the fourth in the Fear Street line of movies. The first three came out not that long ago. I want to get an exact date because I seem to be forgetting when these came out. Apparently they all came out in 2021, and I feel like that is way too long. I thought these came out last year. But no, apparently 2021 for the first three Fear Street movies, which I had a really good time with. I really enjoyed the Fear Street series of films. I thought they're not life-changing, but they are solid fun and a lot of interesting, fun kills because these are all horror movies with the name Fear Street. That should make sense. But they have some unique kills in these movies. I will say that Fear Street Prom Queen does continue that tradition of some interesting kills. However, definitely doesn't produce to the same level as the first three. So Fear Street Prom Queen came out recently. It was released to Netflix as the other three were as well. It is an hour and 28 minutes of your time. However, when I watched it, it was sitting at 37% each on the critics and audience score. As of today recording, it is at 26% critic score, 25% audience score. And that is 58 reviews, critic reviews, 500 plus audience reviews. So yeah, not a good movie, and everybody seems to agree with that. The basic premise of this, we're going to get into the details, but let me give you a little bit of the synopsis of it. Welcome back to Shady Side. In this next installment of the blood-soaked Fear Street franchise, prom season at Shady Side High is underway, and the school's wolf pack of it girls is busy with its usual sweet and vicious campaigns for the crown. But when a gutsy outsider puts herself in the running and the other girls start mysteriously disappearing, the class of '88 is suddenly in for one hell of a prom night. That's exactly what you get. There's nothing else that should be surprising about this. I thought, it's decent enough concept. We've seen it before. It's prom night, essentially, So, but it's just the prom queens that are disappearing one by one and trying to figure out who did it. This movie is based upon the Fear Street books written by RL Stine, and that's part of the reason why I was interested. It also has the writers of Donald McCleary and Matt Palmer also directed it. If you are looking for what else he has directed, it's nothing. He has directed 3 shorts, another movie that came out in 2018, and then he directed this one. He's a writer of 7 films. The other guy, McCleary, he has written 12 films. That's basically all you get, man, because none of these are what you would call world turners in this movie film industry. The main characters in this are India Fowler, Susanna Sun, Fina Strazza, and then we've also got Catherine Waterston, Lily Taylor, and Ariana Greenblatt. Those are the big names. There's a lot of other people in this movie that you may or may not know. A lot of them probably you don't know. And I will say that the ones you do know really haven't been used very well. Ariana Greenblatt is probably one of the bigger names lately, and she was in the movie for maybe a whole 10 minutes. Catherine Waterston had a little bit more to do, but not by much. And then Lily Taylor was just kind of background, it felt like. She plays the vice principal, and they seemed like they were setting her up for something big. Then she just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet. So normally at this point, if it is a bad movie, I start talking about some of the awards it's been nominated for, usually like worst of the year, that kind of stuff. Obviously, this has come out this year, so I've got nothing yet on it. So we'll just jump into the details of this film. As always, spoiler alert, if you are interested in watching this, you can find it on Netflix. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to save you some time if you just listen to what I'm telling you about it, because I'm going to go through every detail on this thing. And yeah, here we go. Fear Street Prom Queen. We get a little exposition just to remind you about Shadyside. Shadyside is the name of the town, and it is next to Sunnyvale. But unlike Sunnyvale, Shadyside is cursed. Like, this is the cursed town. This is the one where if you're a Shadysider, that's used as like derogatory towards you. This is 1988 is the setup for this whole thing. And there are 6 girls that are running for prom queen. We get introduced to all of them, kind of them as well as a like descriptor of who they are. Tiffany, she's the main person of the wolf pack of it girls. She is the mean girl. She is the leader of the bunch. She is played by Fina Strazza. Fina Strazza was in this, an episode of FBI Most Wanted. Yeah, that's all I really got. There's not a lot that she's been in. So Fina Strazza, the mean girl, you can kind of tell that she's going to be the main, I won't say antagonist, but like the main fighting force against our lead character. Next up, we get Christy. Christy is played by Ariana Greenblatt. She's kind of the bad girl. She's the drug dealer, everything like that. She's not part of the wolf pack, as they call them, of it girls. She's her own kind of person. You know, sometimes she shows up to school, sometimes she doesn't. Everybody in the school kind of wants her to win, just to be like, haha, she won kind of thing. Except for, of course, the vice principal, who used to run an all-girls school and kind of is a little more stiff on the rules. Linda is part of the Wolfpack. She's like the perfect grades girl. She's kind of a little more nerdy and everything like that, but she is the nerd of the Wolfpack. Debbie is the mouth. That's what they've called her. Basically, she's the one that's going to say the mean things. Like, Tiffany thinks it, but Debbie's the one that, like, it goes straight from brain to mouth. Like, it's not, there's no stopping point. And so she's always the one that's like talking for the group kind of thing. And then finally, the other person in the wolf pack is Melissa. She is the like lap dog. She is played by Ella Rubin. I know the name, but I can't really tell you I've seen anything she's been in, just looking at all this stuff. But yeah, so she's kind of like the lap dog. She's sucking up to Tiffany. She kind of wants to be like in her image almost. That's kind of her deal during this thing. And our final candidate is our main character, Lori. Lori is played by India Fowler. She has been in really nothing. That's, yeah, she kind of hasn't been in anything either. I know these are supposed to be like high school people and stuff like that, but it's kind of, you don't know who these people are at all. We also meet Megan, who is Lori's best friend. She does not care about prom. She's the alt girl. She wears a suit to prom and goes with Lori. So yeah, that's kind of their thing. So one of the things about Lori that we kind of learn is that she's kind of the outsider of the group. She's not really like popular. She has her reasons for running for prom queen that we learn later in the movie. But for right now, all we are told is that Lori's mother may have stabbed her father in the face and killed him. May have done that. That wasn't proven. But that is what kind of puts her on the outs. She is the cursed child of Shadyside. This is all revealed because they are just being mean to Lori and kind of trying to get her to drop out of being prom queen and everything like that. And Megan, because she is Megan, gets really pissed at them for doing this. So she's like, God, you guys, you've done this to me. She pulls out a cleaver and chops off her hand, and like it's blood everywhere. Yeah, it was fake and everything like that. She gets sent to the principal's office, but Lori is like really appreciative of the fact that Megan has her back. So after school, Megan and Lori, they go to a thrift store where they're talking about prom, getting ready for it, all that kind of stuff. And Megan is going to go with Lori, even though she's not really big into prom. Lori also reveals that she is working basically every night until prom to pay for her dress. She works at the local restaurant. She picked up extra shifts, so she's going to be at the restaurant working to get her dress, the money for her dress. And while she is there the first time, the popular clique is there, including the boyfriends. And there's one guy, Tyler. She obviously has a crush on Tyler. Tyler is like your popular jock guy. They have a little bit of a history that we learned after this because he left his jacket at the restaurant and needed to come get it back after everybody's left for the day. And so we learned that they've known each other for a while. He knows that she has big plans, and it's not just like, oh, you're going to be prom queen and everything like that. Like she has big plans to get out of Shady Side, to get out of her mother's shadow, and just live this good future. And so Tyler's kind of like, he's nice to her, you know. He's there's a little bit of something going on. We don't know exactly what. Of course, Tyler is dating Tiffany because, of course, he is. But there is a little something there. You do get a little bit of a spark between these two. We also get a little bit of Lori's home life. Lori lives with her mother, and her mother works a lot, obviously because the father's out of the picture, everything like that. Her mother works a lot, and they're just kind of passing ships in the night. There's a little animosity probably between them. She's not really a big deal. Like, we see her once or twice. As her mom leaves, we also kind of see that Lori lives across the way from Tiffany and the rest of the Falconer family. The Falconers, the mom and the dad, are Nancy and Dan Falconer. The one we really care about is Nancy, is played by Catherine Waterston, who is the daughter of Sam Waterston. You recognize her from things like she was in Inherent Vice, Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them, Alien Covenant. She's one of the bigger names in this film. She's one of the ones you'd recognize, and maybe you like her enough that she gets you into the theater for this one. Probably not, but maybe. Dan Falconer is played by Chris Klein. Chris Klein was Oz in American Pie. He was in the movie Election, Just Friends, We Were Soldiers. He's been in a couple things. Like you've seen him in a couple of things. You definitely kind of recognize him as well. They're both like, that's my thing. So both of these are the big draws of the film, is what I would say. Them and Lily Taylor. Yet none of them are going to get you into a theater. That's why this feels perfect for Netflix. Basically, Nancy is talking to Tiffany about how she is going to have this amazing prom. Tiffany's already wearing her dress, by the way. She's testing it out, and like Nancy's just so proud of her, and like, you're going to be prom queen and you're going to have a great prom, unlike me, who I didn't have a prom because, you know, that woman killed her husband, or killed her, I think baby daddy, actually. I don't think they were actually together or like married or anything like that. Well, yeah, it's prom, so they definitely weren't married. So yeah, basically Nancy blames Lori's mother for not having her prom. And so she's very excited for Tiffany. Tiffany is going to have this amazing prom. And you can also tell she kind of puts like a lot of pressure on her to make sure she has a great prom. Like this is the pressure she feels, kind of thing. Melissa the lapdog shows up at Tiffany's house, and basically Tiffany offers, because Melissa doesn't have a lot of money, that she can borrow one of her other dresses to wear to prom. And then there's like this montage of them dancing to White Wedding, and it shows just all the nominees and their lives. And the big one that we care about for this is Christy. Christy just sold weed to a Sunnyvale person and his friend. And like, instead of getting a ride home, she walks home after the deal. And so she is like alone in this dark alley, and she starts being chased in this person with a red raincoat and an axe. And I just call him Red Guy. There's really no name for it. It's not like, it's a weird look. I don't know how to describe this guy. So the best way I can describe it is, if you've ever seen Don't Look Now, it's kind of that. Like it's a red raincoat and then like a weird face kind of thing. Originally I thought it was supposed to be like the devil or something like that, but no, it's not the devil. It's just like this goofy face, and yeah, it's not scary if you want to know the truth. So Red Guy is chasing after Christy, and Christy gets killed with a red screen of blood off screen. So like the screen turns red kind of thing. So Christy's gone. There's the first prom queen out of the way. There's only 5 more left to go. So yeah. The next day they're kind of doing like a run through of like the prom queen practice. And the vice principal, Lily Taylor, is the one who runs this. Lily Taylor has been in a bunch of different things. It's a reoccurring joke that the principal is kind of like a beta man, and that the vice principal runs everything kind of thing. She explains to the group that Christy did not show up to school today, so she is disqualified from prom queen. So after this whole practice, Tiffany kind of wants to turn the knife a little more. So she threatens Lori and tells her not to cross her. And she has a vendetta against the Grangers because her mom killing her dad basically ruined her mom's prom. So there's definitely like a bad blood feud between these two. Fine, whatever, it's fine. We knew this was kind of going to go that way. They definitely were going to butt heads at some point. At the same time, Megan, our alt girl, best friends with Lori, is starting to wonder where Christy is. More so because she also smokes and is trying to find a hookup before prom. And so she can't find her. She has no clue where she is or anything like that. She even finds like her boyfriend, like her on off again boyfriend. And he's just kind of like, I haven't seen her either. And even though he's kind of like a strung out guy, he does seem to care that Christy has disappeared. So Megan's kind of like, something happened. I don't know what, but something happened. All right, now it's the big moment. It's a big night. Everybody starts preparing for the prom. And this is started with Tiffany. Tiffany is like getting dressed, looking in the mirror, and Nancy comes up to her and it was just like, no matter what, I'm proud of you. Now don't fuck it up. Losing to a Granger, can you imagine? And then it's just kind of one of those things where this is what I was saying, is there's a lot of pressure on Tiffany. She definitely feels the pressure. And it also is obviously where like the hostility comes from, why they don't like the Granger family. We go to the Granger house, and though she was found not guilty, Lori's mom definitely has like dealt with a ton. You can tell it's weighing on her. But she goes to Lori and tells her that she shouldn't have had to carry that weight. And this is like, she feels bad for Lori, that she's always had to deal with this, even though it's not her fault. Like she was never the one that should have had to deal with this. And Lori said this is just why she ran for prom queen, because it wasn't just for her. It was for like to change the story on the Granger family. So one of the people we haven't talked about yet is Harmony. Harmony is an aspiring news reporter. And whenever you see her, she's just there to deliver news position. Like she is doing the school news and talking all about how like, yeah, Lori Granger has shown up. Will she win prom queen? We all know about her mother and everything like that. And it kind of sets up like we learn more about the killing and the prom, and that Lori actually kind of stands a chance, even though she's an outsider. Like people like her. I don't know what it is, but people kind of like her. So they do have people that are kind of like cheering for Lori. And it also introduces our cameraman, whose name is Spider. Yeah, his name is Spider. So, you know. So the vice principal is explaining like the rules to the prom, like all of the things you need to do and that kind of stuff. And she says that voting doesn't start until 11. And like I'm pretty sure our prom was like done by 11. Like we already had known who the prom king and queen were, that kind of stuff. They don't vote until 11. That's crazy to me. They also ask all of the nominees to come up, and like Lori's standing up there, you know, and then all of a sudden the wolf pack comes through and they start doing a dance number in American flag swimsuits. It's embarrassing for Lori. She feels embarrassed by this because I think this was the lowest of the low. This is when she felt like, oh, she's not going to win because these girls are more attractive. They have all the popularity, that kind of stuff. And they just did this number and like she was the only one left out of it. So it was just everybody else in these American flag swimsuits and then her on her own in her dress. After the dance and everything like that, Tiffany and Tyler are talking, and Tiffany basically calls out Tyler for being late on the dance number. Linda, the bookworm, she has been like giving flyers to get out from behind like Tiffany's shadow. She's been trying to like covertly try to get people to vote for her for prom queen. And Bobby, Linda's date, forgot the rest of the flyers. So they walk out to go get them so they can pass them out again. So Bobby and Linda, they go to the art room. And this is where all of her flyers were stored and everything like that. And they're all either destroyed, drawn on, what have you. All of them are just basically not usable. And so she's pissed. She thinks this is Tiffany. So she hears the door close behind them. She walks away because she's just like, she's fuming. She's heated. So she walks away from Bobby. Bobby's like trying to see if there's any that haven't been destroyed, if like lower in the pile kind of thing. And then Linda comes back and she's like holding her stomach. And Bobby is just kind of like, what's wrong, sweetie? What's going on? And she like looks down. She kind of lets it slide a little bit. And her internal organs just... Linda goes down. She is done. And Bobby is now stuck in the room with a killer. And it's one of those like he's being blocked off from the door. That happens a lot in this movie. So there's a lot of times where it's like, okay, they can go like one way or the other way, but they've let themselves get blocked off by the door. So Bobby is trying to like get past the killer, and the killer like grabs him and he throws him down and he chops off his hand with a paper cutter. It's like just one fell swoop, just and Bobby is in pain. And he's missing his hand, but he like with the other hand tries to reach for like something to use, and the killer just is like, okay, grabs his other hand, puts it on the table, and chops it off too. So he's missing both hands. He is like losing blood, missing both hands. He tries to like run away, but he doesn't have hands. So he like gets to the door and is struggling to open the door because he can't use the knob. And the killer like smashes his face against the window and Bobby falls down. Yeah, Bobby gone. All right, so we've got 3 people down. We are going to take a quick break and then get back to the bloodshed of Fear Street Prom Queen. First, we got to shout out our friends at Project Football Podcast. They are from England, and so football is of the foot variety, as we call it here, soccer, obviously, but this is Project Football Podcast. You can find them at proj_foot. On their Twitter page, the description is a passionate, slightly chaotic love letter to the beautiful game. I think that is very well put. We asked if there's anything he wants to shout out for what he's doing. He is recording with the lads from It's Only a Game podcast. And then his show, he's sorting some guests. He's also putting together more of his non-guest episodes like the A to Z and Hold Your Position series. So we do have his promo. Here is the Project Football podcast that you should check out wherever you find your podcasts.
Hello, I'm Mark, host of the Project Football podcast. If you're into your football, even just a little bit, and don't mind a decent slice of football-related randomness and some new music thrown in on the side, then this may well be the podcast for you. My guests discuss their history with the team they support, pick their best 11 in a trip here through time, and pick out moments in football history they'd like to have experienced from a particular individual's point of view in 4-4-U. As well as that, there's a few other guest segments that deliver on the aforementioned randomness in copious amounts. If this sounds like your sort of thing, check out the podcast on all the usual audio platforms, as well as on Twitter/X at proj_foot, Instagram at Project Football Podcast, and on Facebook, if you just search for Project Football Podcast, you'll find us there. Give it a listen, you might even like it.
So there we go. Thanks to our friend Mark from Project Football Podcast for guessing correctly. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't know there was some music thrown in as well. I like that as well. So I'm definitely going to check out Project Football Podcast wherever you can find your podcasts. All right. So back to Fear Street Prom Queen. We've got 2 prom queens down. We've got a prom king nominee down. It is just the beginning of the night of prom. So yeah. Back at the dance, Tyler runs into Lori, and they have kind of a moment. He compliments her dress, and he says, "It's much better than the Stars and Stripes." Definitely a shot at the Stars and Stripes swimsuits. He seems like a nice dude, so I kind of like Tyler. I think him and Lori could be very happy together if it does work out. This is, of course, interrupted by them finding a fake head that looks like Tiffany's in the punch bowl. And Tiffany is pissed, and she immediately calls out Megan and, by association, Lori. And it was Megan. Megan did actually do this. She put this fake head in the punch bowl of Tiffany's. And it basically gets everyone to kind of look weird at Lori. And so, Lori calls out Megan and just kind of says, this is important to her. She's trying to win. She doesn't want to be the weirdo anymore. She doesn't want to be the outsider. She wants to do this for her family and everything like that. And Megan feels bad about this, but she also doesn't feel like she has to be sorry for this because it took Tiffany down a peg, And so I see where both of them are coming from on this. There's a lot of times where they're going to get into arguments on this. And truthfully, for the most part, we're going to side with Megan. On this one, I see both of their arguments, and I get why. At the same time as this is happening, Melissa is kind of lapdogging up to Tiffany, and Debbie is mad that Melissa's kind of hounding in this. And so she's complaining to Judd. Judd is her date, and Judd just does not seem to care, at all. He really doesn't seem to care, and he kind of changes the subject, but not really. And he says he got something for Debbie, and that they should walk away so that he can give it to her. So we see how this goes. If you walk away from the prom, you are probably going to have a bad time. Maybe not always, but it's starting to seem that way. So Debbie and Judd have walked away from the prom. Megan sees Christy's boyfriend, the burnout. He wasn't going to go to the prom. Christy was going to go on her own because she wanted to win prom queen and everything like that. And that Megan saw him. She was kind of like, "I thought you weren't coming." And he goes, "No, I was hoping that Christy was going to be here. I still haven't seen her. I don't know where she is. I hoped that she was just going to show up and be here." So, again, we have no clue where Christy is. The principal comes up to Lori and tells her that there is something in the office for her and that she has a secret admirer. So she is also walking away from the prom. And Megan is also walking away from the prom, trying to see if she can find anything about where Christy has gone. So Lori, when she gets to the office, there is a bunch of roses and a card that reads, "Hope you don't choke." This really isn't explained at all, but, it's a part of it, I guess. I don't know. Judd and Debbie, they have gone to this dark basement that apparently they go to all the time. Judd is obsessed with it. And he gives her a necklace, and they start kissing, and they're about to get it on like they have before in this dark basement. But all of a sudden they hear something, and they kind of just stop, and like Debbie's looking around but doesn't really see anything. And then out of nowhere, Red Dude sticks this power handsaw into Judd's neck, because this is like a garage or like a like shop class or something like that. So he grabs this power handsaw and sticks it straight into Judd's neck, chopping him up, and he's just kind of thing. Judd is gripping onto Debbie, so she's stuck there while this is happening. She's just getting covered in blood. And then Red Guy turns attention onto Debbie and like pulls the power saw out, and Debbie's able to get out of Judd's grip. She's the one. This is where I started noticing about the door and everything like that. She could get out the door. She had the angle, yet she turns herself the other way, blocking her exit once again. And so she ends up in a position in front of the power wires. And the Red Dude powers up the saw again, lunges at Debbie, and she tries to avoid it, falls, and she ends up in the power wires, and she's electrocuted to death. This makes the lights flicker at the prom, at the school, and the hallway gets dark. So as Laurie is like walking back, Tiffany turns the corner. So it's one of those like jump scare things where Tiffany all of a sudden just kind of like, wah, kind of things. She turns the corner to call out Laurie for staring at Tyler. And Melissa shows up too. And Melissa, this is when Melissa starts getting like, Melissa turns on Tiffany. It's not a complete turn, but it's a turn. Like, she definitely makes more of a decision of, okay, I'm not going to be your little lapdog anymore. And when Melissa catches them, Tiffany basically recounts the tale of Rose Granger killing her husband. And Melissa is even mad about this one. Like, Laurie runs off crying, goes to the bathroom first on her way. Melissa's mad about this one. She says something to Tiffany. Melissa then goes to the bathroom as well. And she basically like asks if Laurie is okay, because Laurie's crying in the bathroom. And she tells her to put on a brave face and gives her like this eye makeup pencil kind of thing. And basically what Laurie does is she fixes her makeup and does it in a completely different style that's like supposed to be hot. And she walks in like ready to fuck shit up. And Melissa's like already there. She gives her the pencil back, and Laurie's just kind of like, you know, nods to Melissa like, okay, we're friendly now. This is good. And it drives Tiffany insane, who then throws 2 drinks into Melissa's face. Laurie kind of like steps up for Melissa to Tiffany, and they start yelling at each other. And then the DJ just yells, "Motherfucking dance off!" One of the things that really didn't matter early on was that Laurie really wanted to hear the song Gloria. And so he plays Gloria. And they do just a dance off. In the middle of this movie, they're doing a dance off. While this dance off is happening, Melissa goes to change because her dress is basically ruined. So she goes into the bathroom, or like the locker room really, and she goes to change. But wouldn't you know it, while this dance-off's happening and Melissa's alone in the locker room, Red Guy is there. And basically, Red Guy makes his presence known after a while because he's just kind of like standing there. He makes his presence known, and then he reveals a cleaver. And he chases Melissa around the locker room. And she escapes. She gets away. She's able to get to the door and open it up. And when she does, she's greeted by another Red Guy. Yes, there is 2 of them. And this one lodges a cleaver straight into her head, and then her dead body is dragged away. This is all happening while Laurie and Tiffany are doing a dance-off to Gloria. And because, like, Laurie just kind of gave no fucks and just kind of let it go and, like, experienced the song and danced and felt so good, people are starting to vote for her people are starting to feel good about like she could do this. She could take out the popular girl. And one of the people that also is kind of believing in her is Tyler, and Tyler is like staring back at Lori, like they're locking eyes kind of thing. Tiffany calls out Tyler about staring back at Lori, then also says, "You better not ruin our future." And he takes it personal because he's just like, the future that you have planned for me, everything that you have planned for me, yeah, no, I'm done. Tyler ends it right there with Tiffany, ruins their future on the spot. So Tyler's now single. Tiffany's now single. Lori still is single. But we're going to divert our attention to Megan. Megan sees Spider, and Spider is toking. And she can't believe that he's like a secret toker. And I'm just sitting there going, his name is Spider, for goddamn sake. But yeah. So Megan takes a hit from Spider's weed. So Melissa's date, I think his name is Gerald, is looking for Melissa and comes across Megan and Spider as they're smoking and is just kind of like, "Have you seen Melissa? Have you seen Melissa?" And they're just like, "No, we haven't seen her." And Megan starts putting two and two together. She starts realizing like the wolf pack is disappearing. Not only that, as she's like looking around, she sees the red guy and like he just kind of like is in frame and then gone. And realizes like all the prom queens are gone. Like they're all disappearing. And so she's like, "I need to save Lori." She confronts Lori about it. And this is right when Lori and Tyler were having a moment. They were about to make out. And of course, Megan breaks it up because, you know, movie. And Lori is pissed and basically just like says to Megan that like she needs to go away. Lori is having a great night. So even though Megan walks away and Lori kind of feels bad about it, Tyler says like, "I'll take you somewhere private," kind of thing. Megan is doing like super sleuthing. She's figuring it all out. She had heard a scream earlier. She realizes the power, like the cords and stuff, all of that are down in the basement, and that Judd and Debbie make out in the basement. And so she's wondering if something happened and this is why the power flickered. So she goes down there to try to figure out what happened. Lori and Tyler in their secret spot that he took her to. Lori feels bad about what happened with Megan. And Tyler tries to like talk her out of it, but Lori's like, "I want to walk back. I want to apologize." And then Tyler gets stabbed in the top of the head by Red Guy. Tyler, gone. Dead. At the same time in the basement, Megan finds Stoker, who was the janitor, who was supposed to be, he was definitely like the red herring character. He's kind of just like creepy, that kind of thing. So you're supposed to think from the beginning, like, oh, this is definitely him. He was killed with an axe, and then she sees Judd and Debbie's dead bodies as well. Lori hears Megan scream, and so as she's like running away from Red Guy, she goes in the basement, and she gets to the basement, she gets to Megan, and then the door is locked by Red Guy 1. So they're like hiding off in a corner, trying to like stay calm. And Red Guy 2 starts dragging the bodies of Debbie and Judd and Stoker. So Red Guy 2 starts dragging the bodies one way. The girls get through the door that Red Guy 2 was using and close it. And then there's like a lantern that's next to this yearbook. And all the prom queens are X'd off in like red ink kind of thing, you know, the hit list. Red Guy 2 realizes that they use the door and starts attacking the door with an axe after he got it out of Stoker's head. So they stack some chairs and they smash this window, and Megan's able to escape through the window by stacking these chairs up. Lori has a tougher time. She can't get out in time because Red Guy 2 has just like absolutely destroyed the door at this point. So Red Guy 2 grabs her. Lori finds a piece of glass and just stabs Red Guy 2 in the chest. And now she's able to buy enough time she can get out the window. They run back to the public at the prom, and they get there just in time for Lori to win prom queen. And mind you, I think the only thing that qualified her to win was the fact that she outdanced Tiffany to Gloria. It's very weird, but I guess that was enough for them in the 80s. So she won prom queen. She goes up there, and like it's not like she's going up there like willingly. She's getting pulled up there kind of thing. So she goes up there. The red guy shows up and starts going on an axe spree, chopping off a girl's leg, clear cutting this guy's head off. Then he chops off the principal's arm. Like, this is bad. This is really bad. He's on stage. He's about to take out Lori. But Megan is able to attack him. And again, he like turns the tables on Megan. He's about to kill her. But then Lori takes off her tiara and stabs the killer like right in the eye. This puts him down, essentially. This is what it is. And the killer is, because they're able to figure it out because they take off his mask and they find out that it is Mr. Dan Falconer. Which, if you were wondering what happened to Mr. Dan Falconer, I had no clue. It took me a second to figure out who this was because literally I had not seen him since it felt like early on in the film. So I'm literally like sitting there going, who the fuck is that? Is that... Nancy is a chaperone of this, and Tiffany obviously is there as a guest. They both kind of are like, why'd you do it? What? And he says basically because they both wanted it so badly. That was his motivation, was they wanted it so badly that he started killing off the prom queens. And the only one he wasn't going to kill, because of course, would have been Tiffany. And so Principal Wayland, still alive, by the way, doesn't have an arm, but basically they just like laid his chopped off arm in front of him, and he just looks at it and goes, wowzers, and then passes out. Yeah, so that's the prom. It's great. Prom's over. Lori won. Dan Falconer's going to jail. But now, of course, Tiffany is kind of going through it. And Megan and Lori are at the ambulance, and they're like apologizing to each other, forgiving each other, that kind of thing. Falconers all come out, including Dan. And the police are just like, we need a statement from Nancy. We'll give Tiffany a ride back. And Tiffany is kind of like, I don't want to go anywhere without my mom. I don't want to be alone right now. And so Lori sees this and feels bad. And she goes, well, I live across the street. Can I go with? I'll go with her and try to make her feel better. And it's kind of a nice moment because they like have a heart-to-heart in the car about how Tiffany never felt like a winner. And she just always wanted to be the best for them. And she kind of apologizes about what she put Lori through. Not exactly, but kind of apologizes because now she's going through it, you know? And so they get to the house. Lori's about to walk across the street, and police are just like, yeah, we can handle this, no problem. And Tiffany's just like, can you please stay? Like, please just stay. I need somebody. And Lori obliges, you know? So Nancy's giving her statement, and, you know, she's doing the normal mom things like, can I go? My daughter needs me, that kind of stuff. And they let her. They're just like, we'll pick this up in the morning kind of thing. So when Nancy gets there, we see that Lori is asleep in Tiffany's room. Tiffany's in the bed. Lori's like on a couch kind of thing, or like on a whatever on the floor kind of thing. And Nancy opens the door, and then she makes a beeline to the kitchen. She grabs a kitchen knife, and instead of, you know, just like being quiet about it and taking care of this, because obviously now she's in on it, instead of being quiet about it, she walks up the stairs, hitting every single stair post, just tuk, 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 tuk. And Lori kind of hears it and is like, something's going on. Something's not okay. So Lori wakes Tiffany up, and they run away because they now know, like, oh shit, yeah, this is not good. We need to hide. So they hide in a closet, and like Tiffany's starting to like hyperventilate kind of thing. She's panicking. She's absolutely panicking. Lori's just kind of like, you're going to give us away, that kind of thing. And then she starts getting weird and starts saying some things and was like talking about how Judd got his face smashed. And can you imagine the blood against the glass? It was beautiful. Yep, Tiffany also a part. The whole Falconer family, they are fucking killers. They are the red guys. So Lori gets away and is like running away. And she runs past like an open door, and Nancy comes out from behind it and stabs her in the back. So Lori has been stabbed. She is down. It turns out also, because we need all of this exposition, it turns out that Nancy was the one who killed Lori's dad. Because Nancy was with Lori's dad first. And they insinuate, I don't know, okay, at this point I was pretty drunk. But they insinuated, and I think this might be the case, that Tiffany is also Lori's dad's child. Because they were together first. And Rose Granger, the fucking whore, stole him away from us because that's what the Grangers do. Kind of thing. So yeah, she is harboring a lot of things right now. She killed Lori's dad. She has killed all the prom queens except for Lori right now. And Nancy is like holding her on the ground with a knife. And Tiffany is like, can I finish the job? I need to finish this because I want to kill this girl. And Nancy's like, sure, cool. Hands her the knife. And so as Tiffany is like getting closer with the knife, Lori just like racks up and donkey kicks her. And she flips from the second floor onto the like falcon statue they have at the bottom of the stairs. And she is gone. Like, she is pierced in 16 different places. She is dead. So now Lori just needs to get away from Nancy. So she runs down the stairs because Nancy now doesn't even have a weapon. She gave her knife to Tiffany. And Nancy is pissed. She blocks the only exit again. And Lori grabs, like, this running statue and just clobbers Nancy in the head with it. Nancy falls to the ground, still alive, and asking for help. Like, she is just bleeding out, and she's asking for help. And then it turns, like, when Lori's just like, I'm not doing this, it turns evil. It's just like, you bitch, you trash, you're nobody. Who the fuck do you think you are? And she, like, smashes her over and over and over again to end it. And she goes, I'm Lori fucking Granger. And then the police show up, and yeah, it's all over. Fear Street prom queen. That's it. Let's start first with the important stuff. The rating. I think I have to give it a 0.5 out of 5. So yeah, I'll say 0.5 out of 5. I don't know. I haven't thought about what to actually give it. Axes, I guess. That's lame. I don't know. Red raincoats. Red raincoats. Yeah, sure. 0.5 out of 5 red raincoats. It's just so disappointing because the first 3 were really a lot of fun. And though there were some inventive kills in this one, I will say there wasn't nearly enough. Things like the paper cutter. I thought that was kind of fun. The other ones, though, we didn't see. I know this is very weird because I'm rating death sequences, but, you know, it's a horror movie. This is something you kind of want in these movies, especially how creative they got with some of them in the first 3. I like the creativity of the first 3. This one was very lame in comparison. I liked the paper cutter cutting off his hands. That was great. We didn't see Linda's death. Just saw the visceral, insides on the outside. We didn't see Christie's death. That happened off screen. Debbie died by going into power cords, and Judd was just literally, was it Judd? No. Yeah, Judd. Judd and Bobby. Yeah, that's it. So Judd was basically just a power handsaw out of nowhere just into his neck. And like it's fine. It's not bad. It was fun in the fact that he's holding Debbie and like blood splattering everywhere kind of thing. But, you know, in comparison, it's not a unique death. It's not anything crazy, and it happened so quickly that it was just, okay, it's done. A lot of axes, a lot of knives, a lot of just normal stuff. The cleaver in the head. The only thing that was surprising about that with Melissa was that there was a second red guy. Yeah, but the creativity of the kills was a lot more fun in the first three. And so this was disappointing in comparison. The one thing a lot of people have been saying, a lot of reviews that I've seen about this have been saying, is that it was predictable. And I will say yes and no. Yes and no, it was predictable. I thought that Nancy was involved. Yes. I thought that Tiffany might be involved. Maybe. The only reason I say it wasn't predictable is I didn't have any clue who the fuck Dan Falconer was when he was revealed at the prom as the killer. I had no clue. Like none. And so I'm sitting there going like, huh? Who's this guy again? And if I didn't just see the principal get his arm chopped off, I actually might have thought it was the principal. Like that is how confused I was with who this character was. Dan Falconer was a nobody that we'd seen for like 2 scenes maybe. And all of a sudden he was just a killer. And then when he was revealed and the movie was still going, that's when you knew. So, like, we knew there was a second red guy anyway. So I'm already like, okay, it's one of the other Falconers. When the movie kept going and it was like, Lori is hanging with Tiffany to try to make her feel better, and Nancy's trying to get home, that's when it all clicked for me. Oh, they're both in on it. I knew it was either one or the other. I just didn't know which one it was going to be. I thought it was Nancy pretty early on. I actually at some point said it's not Nancy because that feels too obvious. It's like tried to talk myself out of it. But no, it was Nancy and Tiffany. It was all of them. It was the whole Falconer family. So that's my thing is, yes, it was predictable on a lot of things. However, it was not predictable in the fact that I had no fucking clue who Dan was. Just none. I don't think they needed to twist in that Lori's dad was killed by Nancy. I don't think they needed to twist in if they actually did. I don't know. I was pretty drunk by the end of this movie. So it may or may not have been what was insinuated. I didn't want to go back at that point, but that Tiffany is also Lori's half-sister. That definitely didn't need to happen. The character of the red guy was stupid. That's not going to be one of those killers that goes down in infamy. It's a terrible Ghostface. It's a knockoff Ghostface, a Temu Ghostface, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think what else about this movie. It lacked the fun of the first 3. The first 3, I have a visceral image, especially the first one, of the bread slicer kill. I thought that was phenomenal. And that's kind of what I liked about the first 3 movies, was it was fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. This one didn't take itself too seriously. I'm not saying that at all. I think it definitely still has that element of fun, but for some reason it just didn't hit the same. So it was fine. It was okay in certain aspects. Other aspects, it was absolutely horrible. This is going to be one of those movies where I think a couple months down the line, they're going to be like, oh, have you ever seen Fear Street Prom Queen? I'm going to be like, no, I don't think I have, because I'll have completely forgotten it. It is not. So it's 26 and 25% right now. It's that bad because it's predictable and it's not fun. And so for that, it deserves it. However, I think this is a harmless movie that isn't going to do damage in the long run, because I think everybody's just going to forget it existed. And they should. They really should, because this one is a miss in this series. I'm hoping there's going to be more because, like I said, I like the first three a lot. I don't want it to be killed because of this entry, especially because I kind of see what they were going for. It was a little bit of fun. It was that kind of thing. That being said, I mean, it could kill the franchise right here. Now, I don't think these are very expensive to make, and they are Netflix originals or Netflix only. So I don't think this will kill it. I think there will be a fifth or a sixth somewhere down the line. However, I think they're going to pivot from whatever their next idea might have been. We'll see. We'll absolutely see. One of the things that I think was a problem with this one was the use of their known actors. Even though Catherine Waterston was a big part of the end, she wasn't very well used in the beginning. I mean, she had more time than a lot of other people, but, Ariana Greenblatt, arguably one of the more popular of the actresses in the high school group, was on screen for maybe 5 minutes and then killed off. Lily Taylor, I think, was supposed to be a bigger part, and she wasn't anything. And I totally thought Lily Taylor was another red herring as the vice principal because she was so strict and she wanted certain people to be the prom queen. I think there was definitely a thought there of, yeah, she's going to be a part of this because she wants certain people to be prom queen, or she wants to get rid of the bad apples kind of thing. And then the janitor Stoker was just creepy just to be creepy. So he was an obvious red herring. Like that, there was no question in my mind this dude killed nobody. Like I knew for a fact from the beginning, oh no, this dude, no. He is a nobody. He is just there to be creepy. I think that goes to their point about predictability, because I don't think they did a good job of like introducing suspects. The obvious red herring of Stoker. The vice principal was the only other one that I thought might have been it besides the Falconers. And with a name like Falconer, you also are kind of thinking to yourself, yeah, they totally are doing something. It would have been better if I felt that none of the prom queens were the ones killing anybody. It would have probably been better if they were. I've been thinking a lot about how I'm going to talk about this one, but I think I thought I had a lot more material on what I was going to be saying about this, because I do have strong opinions about scary movies. I like scary movies. I like horror movies. I rate them based on the killer, the kills, the plot, the twist kind of thing. And on all cylinders, it kind of failed, except for maybe the kills were a little okay. Just more so because of the paper cutter one. That's the only one I was just like, yeah, cool, that one great. Because that was also kind of funny in the fact that he got away and was like trying to open the door, and it was like, he can't open the door because he has no hands. So that's immature, but I mean, it's funny. Killer's design was boring as hell. That was a terrible design. I don't know what it was supposed to be. I thought it was a devil at first, but then it's just like it's creepy mask with a red raincoat. That's it. Cool. All right. What? Yeah. Yeah. Watching Karate Kid 3 or the next Karate Kid probably could have been a thing, but at the end of the day, I think I made the right choice by watching the more recent thing. And yeah, Fear Street Prom Queen. I hope you don't kill the Fear Street series, because I think you can have a lot more fun with it. I think there's some good stories still out there. I mean, it's RL Stine, so there definitely is some that translate better than others. I will say that, because we all know Goosebumps. There were certain episodes that absolutely hit, and then certain episodes that were complete flops. There was books, same thing, that were absolute hits and complete flops. So I'm thinking there's a bunch of other things that R.L. Stine has put into this Fear Street series that can be translated pretty well, or just branching off and like using that as a template, not really as the thing. I think it could be done better. Part of it also is just the fact that the writer and the director have no experience. They just have none. And so when you put these two in charge of this kind of thing, you need some pedigree with this. I'm not saying it needs to be an absolute gem of an author or anything like that, but it should be a little better than somebody who is known for 3 short films and some other project I've never heard of that's like only a 6 out of 10, you know? So yeah, that's where probably this thing goes downhill, is the writing on this. And I don't think any of the actresses did bad. I don't think any of the actors did bad. I think the writing definitely harmed it because there was only a certain amount of suspects. There was only a certain amount of people that could have done it. And at the end of the day, we'd completely forgotten about a suspect because we'd just not seen them. And then all of a sudden they were the killer. So, yeah. That's my thoughts. Fear Street Prom Queen. 0.5 out of 5 red raincoats. Yeah. So we have a couple more coming up in the future. A couple more crazy bad movies that we're going to talk about. I have some guests that I'm trying to get on the show as well. I'm really excited about that. So, yeah. Hopefully it's not just going to be me in the future for a couple more episodes. You can hear, I have guested on a couple other shows at this point. So we are everywhere. Thank you to Mark from Project Football Podcast that guessed it correctly. Definitely check them out. And yeah, thank you for tuning in to the Game for a Movie podcast, where we ask, are you game for a movie? I'm Mike, your host. I will see you next time on Game for a Movie.